Bartimaeus. Bartimaeus was wearing beggar garments. Because in the days of Jesus, the beggars had to identify themselves. That's like doctors identify themselves, beggars identify themselves with their garment. He wears his beggar garments, goes to sit on the road between Jerusalem and Jericho, and beg. And he's been doing it for so long in his life. As a matter of fact, he's been doing it so long that people call him by his condition, blind Bartimaeus, a beggar. And as he sits on the Jericho road, which is one of the busiest routes in Jerusalem, he hears conversation back and forth. He's blind, but he can hear. And he hears, there's a man called Jesus. He's from Nazareth, a prophet, a teacher, a rabbi from Nazareth called Jesus. And he's doing miracles, and he's doing signs, and he's doing this. And I'm sure people sometimes come and congregate around where he is, and they tell about stories of Jesus and so on and so forth, and stories of Jesus. And he's wondering, who is this Jesus? How does he look like? Can he turn my situation around? And he's wondering, one day he's sitting with his beggar garment. He's covered himself as a beggar. He has told himself, I'm a beggar. Years ago, somebody told me, you know, Pastor, some of us, God called us to be beggars for other people to take care of us. If you think like that, you have a beggar garment. That's how you cover yourself. That's how you appear. That's the status. Bartimaeus is sitting there, and he hears a commotion. Noise is coming from the Jerusalem side. Noise is coming. And as the noise is coming, he's getting close, and people are talking, hey, well, there are all kinds of noise and all kinds of noise. And he calls one of them and says, hey, what's happening? What's happening here? What's happening on the road? They say, well, Jesus of Nazareth. Yeshua is coming. He's coming. From where? Well, he's coming this way. He's blind. So he starts shouting, Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. Jesus, Son of David, have mercy. But everybody too is shouting, so his shouting doesn't make a difference. Jesus, Son of David, everybody is shouting, Jesus, 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 Jesus. He's also shouting, Jesus, Jesus. And then he sees gradually Jesus is passing him by. Jesus is passing him by. And then he says, hey, 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 hey. This is not the time to keep quiet. So he raises his voice, Jesus! Son of David! And people say, hey, 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 shh, 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 shh. He's healing better people, not your kind. He's healing better people. And the Bible says when they told him to keep quiet, he shouted the more. He's screaming because he realizes Jesus is moving away from him. He can hear the sound is diminishing. And he shouts, Jesus, the Son of David, have mercy on me. And somewhere along the line, Jesus stops. And he says, who is that calling my name? They say, well, it's a Jericho beggar. Our own personal beggar here. So he says, go and bring him. Now, what Jesus would do, nobody knows. Like Joseph, Pharaoh says, go and bring Joseph. Whether he'll be killed or he'll live, he didn't know, but he changed his garment. Like Ruth, he didn't know what will happen when she goes out that night, but she changed her garment. So Bartimaeus, they come and tap him and say, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. Keep quiet. The man has heard you. Keep quiet. He's calling you. And the moment he hears he's calling you, he takes his beggar garment and he throws it away. But Timaeus is saying, I don't know what will happen to me today, but from tonight or this afternoon, I will never be a beggar again. My life will change, my encounter will change, my story will change. So he took his beggar garment and threw it away. And he goes to meet Jesus. And Jesus heals him. And that was the end of begging for Bartimaeus. Joseph had a call. He changed his garment. Ruth had a call. She changed her garment. Bartimaeus had a call. He changed his garment. What does it tell us? Anytime God is calling you, you must change something about you. You must change something about you. You must change your garment. It doesn't necessarily mean go and dress differently, although sometimes it helps to do that. But it means change what is covering you. Change the thing that you have covered yourself with. Oh, I am down, I am poor, I am weak, I am sick, I am a widow, I can't make it, rich people are talking, and as for us, we are poor. I remember when I was going to secondary school from one, the advice my mother gave me. He says, when you go to school, remember we are poor. That's her good advice. My mother was a very good woman, very spiritual Christian, filled with the Spirit, very prayerful, but she didn't hear the kinds of messages I'm preaching today. So she says, be very careful. Don't go and try and do by heart in school. Remember the family you are coming from. We are poor. So when you go and people are going on strike, don't go, because we are poor. So I was covering myself in poverty. I had decided I'm poor. So I remember when I was in Form 1, the whole school went on strike. And I was a Form 1 boy. Form 1. But I had advice. We are poor. When they go on strike, don't go. So I was in Form 1. The school went on strike because they said they didn't like the food that was being cooked, because those days schools were better, and for a season we were eating fried cassava and sardines and pepper, and then that was for lunch. And evening we eat only chicken. And people say chicken is boring, so they were going on strike. And in the morning we take cocoa and cocoa and bread with sugar, no milk, but cocoa. Cocoa is cocoa, believe you me, cocoa is cocoa. With sugar and bread and groundnut paste in the bread and butter. And they were going on strike. But my mother had told me, right from when I left home, we are poor. So we went to the dining hall. Everybody said they wouldn't eat. It was breakfast. The cocoa was there. Everybody had left their bread. I was sitting at the table. From one board, there were seniors all over around me. I took my plate and I finished it. And I look around and people have left their plate. So I pulled the next one and I marked it. I'm telling you the honest truth. I was on the second one. I finished it. Then I pulled the third one. And a senior came to hold the back of my shirt and said, "What are you doing? We're on strike." I didn't tell him, but I was saying in my head, my mother said, "We are poor." You see, you remember, you are poor. When you go and they are going on strike, don't go. Eat the food. Because there will be no provision for you. I'm not giving you provision. Eat from the dining hall. I said, "Sir, I came with strict instructions. Strict instructions. Don't miss dining hall. Eat." Some of you have gari soakings. You have tinapa. You have corned beef. I have nothing. This is my life. I am poor. Now, there are people who have clothed themselves with poverty. Maybe when you were growing up, your father told you, we are poor. Your mother told you, we are poor. I will never forget a story a church member told me. Very interesting story. He said when he was growing up, for some reason, he had an uncle who used to tell him that louvers were expensive. And he says he heard it so much. Louvers are very expensive. Louvers are those days, we used to use wooden louvers. Those of you who are a bit older. And the glass louvers with a glass frame is very expensive. So he grew up believing that louvers are very expensive. He didn't ask the price, but he was told his louvers is expensive. You don't just go and buy louvers, so you don't buy louvers. So he said he rented a house. And the house didn't have louvers. It was open window, and there were no louvers. But he was doing business. He was making some little money, selling things here and there, and he was making money. But he was told louvers were expensive. So he never fixed the louvers. So he had rubber coverings on the louvers. He says when it rains, the rain will come in and beat him and his wife and children in the house. He was endangering his wife, endangering his children, because louvers are expensive. So he said one day it had rained like that, and the water had come into his house, his sitting room. And a friend came to the house. He said, why is there water here? He says, well, the rain brought the water. He said, put some louvers there. He said, no, louvers are expensive. Louvers are very expensive. And the guy said, what do you mean louvers are expensive? Your business, you are doing well. He even had a car. He had managed to buy a car, but he can't buy louvers. Believe me, words are very powerful. Words are dangerous. And he said, his friend said to him, what do you mean louvers are expensive? So the friend went to bring a carpenter. The carpenter came, took measurements, and then went to calculate and gave him the bill. And this is what he told me. He said he saw the bill and started crying. He said, I've been a fool all my life. I've put myself in danger. I've inconvenienced my wife, my children, simply because somebody drummed it in my head when I was young. Louvers are expensive. He was living in a family house and they used to fight about louvers. And that's where he got the idea. He didn't check the price, but he was wearing the garment of poverty. You can be rich and wear the garment of poverty. The problem of people is what they are wearing, what they keep advertising to the world, what they keep telling the world about themselves, what they keep showing to the world. But when God calls you, if you want change, the first thing you do, you take off your garment. You change your garment. Your garment must not represent your past. It must not represent where you are now. It must represent where you are going. I remember years ago, in Ghana, everybody, no, not everybody, some of us, our parents never had cars. So I didn't grow up in a house with car. So we grew up with trotro. And trotro in the 60s and 70s was a different ball game from now. These days it's improved. Your trotro, some of you even have fan in your trotro. Those days trotro was two ways. There was the bone shaker, what they call mummy truck, And then there was the other one, the Bedford one, where you sit facing each other. And that is the one that when you sit in and you think you are comfortable, and the driver wants you to really add more passengers, he does a sharp brake and everybody moves to one side, then they add 2 more passengers. So that's what I was used to, trotro. I took trotro for a long time. You know, and when you use the mummy truck, those days, the wooden Bedford truck, you master it. I mean, you know how to chase the trotro and jump and hold on and stylishly put your other foot in and sit down. All in one swift movement. Very acrobatically. I had mastered all of that because that's how you survive. But you know, at one point something said to me, I said, I deserve better. I deserve better. So I made a vow to myself. I said, from today, I'm changing. I didn't understand change your garment, but I said, from today, I will never take trotro again in my life. I never take trotro. Did I have money? No. Had my salary increased? No. But I said, I will never take trotro again. And if I don't have money for taxi, I will walk. And I did a lot of walking. I did because many times I didn't have money. I would rather walk. I walked, I didn't know it was good exercise then, but it was good exercise. I walk everywhere. I walk everywhere. I mastered walking. But if I have money, I'll take a taxi. If I don't have money, I walk. But trotro, I say, I will never take you. Because I'm going to a higher level. So I started taking taxi. Then I took taxi for a while. In the taxi, 3 passengers at the back. Sometimes the people are just, touching you in a way and you didn't like. So I did taxi. Sometimes they put 2 passengers in front and sometimes 4 at the back instead of 3. So one day I said to myself, I'll never take taxi again. So I've moved from level 1 to level 2. I said level 2, I don't even like level 2. I won't take taxi with other passengers again. From now on, I will take dropping. And if I don't have money, I will walk. So I walked a lot, but when I have money, I take dropping. I said, trotro, I'm out with you. Taxi with other passengers. Those of you who like passengers, God bless you. Me, I like to be by myself. If I'm walking, I know I'm walking. But I'm sitting in car, I don't want people to disturb me. So I took dropping for a while, walk, drop a bit. At a point, I just said, I don't think I want to take dropping again. So I'm going to get my own car. And if I don't get my own car, I walk. Now, I didn't know where the car would come from. I didn't have money. Just that week, somebody spoke to me and said, I have a car in my garage. I haven't used it for a very long time. It's a very old, rickety car, but maybe you can do something with it. When you have nothing, everything is okay. So I was introduced to this car. It was a very small car. It looked very ugly, but it was nice to me. So I brought the car out. It had too many problems, had a little money, fixed what I could fix. No, those days in Ghana, even if you had only one light, it's okay. Because everybody's lights were not working. So if your lights are not, if your brake is not working, it's okay. There was nothing like roadworthy because everybody was not worthy. So I said, well, I have this car. So I put the car together and started moving it, driving it. I remember the first time I learned to drive and drove that car. I felt so proud. I said, wow, I've moved from trotro to taxi with passengers to dropping to now myself. I'm driving my own car. Now that car, I later painted it red. Danger. And I've said many times that that car was a demon-possessed car. It was fully demon-possessed. The devil had possessed the car. You know how I know it was demon-possessed? Because when it was moving, it would go like this. I say, yeah, the spirit has come upon the car. It's a demon-possessed car. This guy's the devil has possessed this car. But it is my car. And if your car is demon-possessed, you will still drive it. It gave me a lot of trouble. The water heater, the radiator, used to heat. The water would be boiling. Pop, 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 pop. So I kept ice blocks in the car. So anytime the water starts heating, I put ice blocks in. Then it would go a little bit. It left me in many places, disgraced me. I remember when I was going to marry my wife, I drove it to her house. I had a car, demon possessed, but I had a car. I didn't take trot to her house. I took my car, demon possessed car. And I will never forget when I was leaving her house and the car said, I won't leave. The car said, I won't go. So her brothers had to come and push. And afterwards, they laughed at her. Look at the man you have brought. He's pushing his car out of the house. But it was my car. It was my car. What am I saying? There will be many times when God is calling you to a higher level. You can't stay with your old garment in that place. You have to determine, He's calling me. I'm throwing away my beggar garment. I may not be healed. I may not have solution, but I am determined I will not be a beggar again. I don't know where my life will end, but I am determined. When Joseph was called by